boys and girls. My name is Miss Julie, and my videographer is Danielle. I am going to teach you today how to be scientists. Yay! So, who knows what a scientist does?
They make things explode.
They can make things explode, that's true.
They do experiments.
They do experiments. Anthony?
They do science.
Scientists definitely do science. So before we get to doing experiments, there's a few steps we have to do first. So this book is called EC Loves Science. Does anyone else love science? Raise your hand. I love science too. So in CC Loves Science, I'm not going to read the whole story just because of the time, but the main character, Cece, she talks about how much she loves science all day long, and she has to do all these different steps to get to do the experiment. So one of the steps that Cece has to do is an observation. When you do an observation, you're noticing things about something. So if I'm doing an observation on my apples, I'm observing that this apple is green, it's pretty smooth, it's hard. So after I make this observation, I have to make a prediction. A prediction is a guess about something that's going to happen. So do you make a prediction? Is it just a guess? Do you just make a prediction about anything and just guess, oh, I think this is going to explode? No, it has to have a question behind it. So if my question is this apple crunchy or chewy? Well, I observed that it feels pretty hard, so I think it's going to be crunchy. Do you agree that that's a good prediction?
Yes.
Yes. So I want somebody else to do an observation on an apple, on two apples. Who wants to try? Kelly.
Yes.
What do you think about these two apples? What do you observe?
It's a big apple and a small apple.
It's big and it's small. Does anyone want to touch them?
Ooh.
Maybe tell me if they're heavy, if one is heavier and one is lighter.
Whoa! This one's really heavy.
Yes, so they're not the same, right? So if we had to do an investigation about if these apples would sink in the water or float in the water, what did your observation tell you about that? What do you think? Do you think that it's going to make a difference if one apple's bigger or smaller, if it's lighter or heavier? Will different colors of the apple make a difference? That's something we have to think about, right? What do you think, Jackie?
I think the heavy one's gonna sink.
Maybe, and that is a great prediction. And let's remember that when we make predictions, they might not always be right. A prediction is a guess based on your observation, but this is why we have to do experiments. Our experiments, just like scientists do, are going to teach us if our predictions and observations are right. So I want everybody to take out their worksheet. Okay, so I want you to do an investigation on one of the apples up here. You can look at it. If you want to touch it, I'll let you touch it. And I want you to color the color that you choose of the apple. Is it red? Is it green? Is it yellow? Does it have more than one color? How many cubes tall is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count. Does the apple have a stem? Let's do this apple. This is the one we will do our worksheet on. And give me your prediction. Do you think this apple will sink or float in the water? Does anyone want to feel it?
Float.
Maybe it will float. We have to do our experiment to find out. Does anyone want to touch it?
I'll touch it.
What do you think? Does it have a stem? It does. There's the stem. Just like we learned about in our other lesson about labeling the apple, we know that the stem is up here on top. So who wants to tell me their prediction? Is your apple going to sink or is it going to float? What do you think? Courtney,
It's going to sink.
can you tell me why you think it will sink?
I think it's heavier than the water, so we'll stay on top.
That's a good observation. The apples do feel pretty heavy when you pick them up, and water doesn't feel so heavy. It feels like it doesn't have any weight. So our class prediction, I want to see. How many of you think it will float and how many of you think it will sink? Can you tell me by raising your hands and being quiet, how many of you think that your apple will float? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to color it in. So 5 think it will float. How many think it will sink? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 friends think our apple will float and 6 friends think it will sink. How many more friends think it will sink than float?
What was the numbers again? Sink.
If we had 5 friends that thought it would float and 6 think it will sink, how many more friends thought it will sink?
1 friend.
Only one more, because 6 is 1 more than 5. So we can add some math into science too. And a little bit more math. You can see on this chart, just by looking at these cubes, that there's 1 more friend that thinks it will sink. So our class prediction, the more people that said that it will sink, was 6 people. So that means we think that it will sink, and most of us do. Okay. Who's ready to do our investigation?
Maggie. Sink.
I want somebody to come up and help me. Jackie.
Yay.
Let's try the small apple first, because Jackie predicted that she thought the bigger one would sink because it was heavier. So let's see if you think the bigger one. Try the small one first. Let's see if your prediction is going to be correct. What's happening to the apple, my friends?
It's sunk.
No, look, it's not touching the
Oh,
bottom.
you're right, teacher.
Let's see what the big one is going to do. Will it be the same as the little one?
Sink. It's sunk.
Is it the same as the little one?
No.
Let's see. Is it
It's
going to
sink.
rise up? Let's wait.
It sinks.
Let's wait.
No, it's teacher, it's sunk. Oh, it's floating.
So, did it matter the size and the weight of the apple?
No.
It doesn't matter, because who wants to guess why? Why do you think the apples all float? Well, I'll tell you why. Apples are actually made up of 25% of water. So I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. And that means that apples are actually lighter than water. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. So let's try it with the red apples. Let's see. Maybe color will make a difference. Let's see, are the red apples sinking or floating?
Floating.
See, they're lifting off the top, so they're floating. So did color make a difference?
No.
No. So I want everybody now to take out or turn to this page and just write 1 sentence about what you saw. You can say, my prediction was correct. And it's okay if you don't know how to spell it. You do your best, and I will help you, and I will come around. So just write, was your prediction correct, or was it incorrect? How many of you got your prediction correct? Oh, a lot of us knew. So now you know how to be scientists. Scientists have to do an observation, they have to make predictions, and then the most important is to do an experiment so we know if our observations and predictions were good.